I am Captain Logan, and this is day 220 of Spawn Year. Jesus Christ may have been a vampire. That got your attention, didn't it, dear reader? I can't believe how drawn out and directionless the first two issues of this arc were, and then in part 4, we get to Jesus may have been a vampire. Gee, maybe that's how you keep your reader's attention? Whether you're curious, blindsided, outraged, or bursting a gut laughing, most people, especially if they're reading Spawn this late in the game, likely can't help themselves but to stick with a story where the Bible gets it all wrong. God and the devil are both just flawed, petty kids with magnifying glass aimed at us ant-like human beings, and to make life feel less meaningless and give the universe a grand divine scheme, a myth may have been written about Jesus based on the truthful 100% real history of a vampire cult that started when Jesus was supposed to have lived. I keep using the phrase may have because in Wolfram's little storytime flashback, Logan takes great care never to use Jesus' name, and he makes sure to emphasize that the story of the vampire cult is just a legend and it can't be proven. But in the story, a man who performs miracles and gives sermons recruits 12 disciples, and they are called that, teaches them his ways, then has them drink of his blood, and tells them in so doing they will live forever in his kingdom. Thus the title of this story arc. Conveniently, the body portion of communion is left out entirely, and the legend doesn't say where the vampire goes when he disappears, if he's killed or resurrected. Presumably neither if he was already a vampire. I imagine this would be seen as going too far for a lot of Christian readers. It's easy to see Spawn as a high-concept fantasy set in a world with entirely different religious answers about the creation of the cosmos or the eternal soul than anything real people subscribe to. And up until now, Spawn is rarely read as a criticism of any particular religion, even when it comments on the political or mental corruption that can occur with religious institutions. But this story directly tackles the elephant that's been in the room from the moment heaven and hell were painted as being so ruthless and morally ambiguous in their methods. How the heck does Jesus fit in? And perhaps Logan is revealing his own feelings toward Christianity and Twitch's attitude toward God. How he can't believe in a God who allows mankind to kill his son no matter the reason. If in this universe Jesus was not God's son, then that never happened. But I doubt Twitch would like the God of his reality any better. And is Logan saying something about real organized Christian faiths and implying that in the world of Spawn, communion is how blood-sucking vampires prey on the weak and the desperate to increase their ranks and control their multitudes? Again, he's certainly trying to give himself an out by refusing to confirm that Jesus here is a vampire, and I don't want to make the mistake of assuming he must think like Twitch just because he put those words in Twitch's mouth. After all, Twitch made it clear in Bendis' stories that he wasn't a religious man, and his position seems in line with his characterization up to now. There are certainly conclusions one could draw about what Logan may be saying with this. It might be a thinly veiled allegory, but it's also just as likely he's trying to answer the obvious questions about how so many people came to trust the Bible in a reality where so little of it holds water, and he went with the over-the-top, preposterous answer, in keeping with the 10-year narrative tradition of Spawn. Remember, Violators sparked dragon myth. The whole Greek pantheon of gods apparently existed according to Curse of the Spawn. Jesus as a vampire is no sillier or in more bad taste than so much of the Spawn mythos, and it's nice to see this issue finally deals with it at all, even if it's left slightly ambiguous. I think it's likely that Logan and/or McFarlane, he's still credited for plotting after all, saw all these interesting parallels in Christian and vampire lore, blood, immortality, community, and since they already had used vampires in this series, they saw an opportunity to do something interesting, if not wacky, with that. Clearly, a lot of traditional vampire lore is also wrong in this world. Vampires are supposed to be evil and repelled by Christian iconography, but good and evil are further muddled here because some vampires work for heaven. It'll be interesting to see if that early vampire cult was in fact working for God or not. And cutting their heads off doesn't kill them. Those idiot demons Spawn recruited actually did something right, got monumentally lucky, and found Wolfram's disembodied but alive and functioning head out of the garbage. I sure hope I never find one of those in my trash can. I really enjoyed seeing Sam and Twitch face to face with the impossible. They've seen weird before, but this is something on a whole other level, seeming to confirm the supernatural nature of a lot of what Spawn has told them in recent months. The looming threat, according to Wolfram, is simple but gargantuan. The kingdom of vampires plans to cleanse the world in the name of God, deciding who lives and who dies. We don't know why Simon Pure, their leader, has chosen to do this now as opposed to any other time, but it does seem to perhaps have something to do with Spawn and his new status as ruler of the 8th Circle of Hell. I'm not sure. Spawn conveniently stumbled upon their freaky tall HQ at the end of last issue, so he knows where to find them. Apparently their building is slightly out of phase with reality or human perception, or whatever mumbo-jumbo multiversal babble the story needs, so it's invisible to everybody but Spawn. Oh, and Max is turning into a vampire, so our subplots are converging both physically and thematically. Twitch, the unbeliever, losing his son to immortality itself, and to the cult possibly started by the man who became the ultimate symbol of selfless sacrifice, given in the biblical story to and for the world by his father. This is something Twitch has passionately said he would never do. I imagine Holguin might put Twitch in a position before this story is over where he's forced to do just that himself. I don't know if I like this story yet. It's bizarre and awkward, but the really nutty stuff is pulling me through it. It's too bad Spawn has lost touch with his humanity so much he still needs Twitch to provide all the emotional resonance in a story. Signed, Captain Logan.